Are we live? I hope so. Hello friends and welcome. Welcome to Golf Mental Game Podcast number 1 from me. My name is Mario Becchi. For those who don't know me, I am a psychologist who works with professional and amateur golfers around the world, and not only golfers, with people who are active in sports. This is the Golf Mental Game Podcast, and we have really hot topic to discuss about. So today we will speak about Tiger Woods' crash and whether it is possible to have a impact on his game, because we still don't know whether he will play from this moment or not. If you are interested more into knowing about the mental game of golf, if you want to learn more about Tiger and possible effect on his game, you are invited to watch this podcast. You are invited to invite your friends and enjoy the knowledge which I am going to try to explain you from my point of view. For the past 5-7 years, I am working with professional and amateur golfers from around the world, from Australia, from USA, from France, from Sweden, and I am helping them to achieve better results. The majority of my clients, for your surprise, might be that they are amateur golfers in favor of professional golfers. You wouldn't believe, but amateur golfers are also interested into knowing more about mental game, about improving their game just by using their mindset, just by using the words, the steps, the hints I am providing them. It is possible and it is really, really effective. Before this period, before I started to work, I never knew a person who might be interested into this. So I developed a program, really simple program, that first of all was in a small book, and now it's in a training that took all the theory plus clinical practice results, put it together, squeezed the best out of it, and put it into impossibly simple hints for your mental game that can be used directly on the golf course. So this is what I do. What will be this podcast about? This podcast won't be, never be about gossip. We will not speak about the girlfriends, the history of their personal lives. We are going to speak about the mental game strictly. We are going to speak how you can use your mind, maybe even from example of professional players, adjust it to your personal game, and how you can squeeze the most out of your inner power and use it directly on the golf course. So we are starting today with a really, really hot topic. It will be about Tiger Woods' crash that happened on 23rd of February in California, and it was horrific to see the car, and we didn't see Tiger yet from this crash. Everything is undisclosed, so we will only speak about what we know from the theory psychology, what we know from the crash, and whether it will be even possible for Tiger to return to the professional game. We have really, really competitive round of players today, especially when they are using new technologies, and this is new era, not only for Tiger, but for the golf itself. So, if you are interested into knowing more about mental game, about Tiger Woods, about other players, you and your friends are invited to watch this podcast from me, Mario Becchi. If you want to learn more about me, myself, go to Google, put in Mario Becchi, or go straight to my website mariobecchi.com, or look on the Facebook for the page Mario Becchi Golf. You are probably watching this on my Facebook live right now, or from the recording video if you didn't get the live video stream, or maybe you are watching on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube by looking for Mario Becchi Academy. So We are not going to speak in this podcast about gossip. We are not going to speak about their personal lives. Maybe even in exception when we are going to try to connect their personal lives with golf, because in mental game everything what we go through is connected into results that we somehow achieve on the golf course. So it doesn't matter whether you are professional or amateur players, everything what you are going through in your life is going to be reflected on the golf course, in your results, in your approach to the game. What I do is that I am showing players how they can use all this experience, plus experience that is shown from the real results of performance psychology, and they can adjust it to their game no matter what playing level. Because golf psychology, the practical golf psychology as we know it, also as mental game, can be simple. So, if you are interested into watching this episode, just continue sitting comfortably and enjoy it. Right after my intro, we will continue and we are going to speak about Tiger, about this game, about this crash, and what are the possibilities for Tiger and possibly also for you if you are playing golf competitively or if you are looking for better results in a game of golf. So let's start. Alright, so welcome to episode number 1 in podcast about golf mental game. Today we are speaking about Tiger Woods and his crash from February 23rd in California. My interest into knowing more about this crash is very simple. I want to explore and discuss whether and how it will be possible for Tiger to recover from his injury. He luckily came alive out of this crash, even though the pictures were really horrific, and we will have opportunity in this podcast to see on some of these pictures. And it will be really interesting to look at the car who was really damaged. And you must understand that it was SUV, so they are much tougher than ordinary cars. The SUV was damaged really bad, but luckily Tiger was and is alive. He is back from hospital home, and as we know from his Twitter account, he sent some message to his fans and to those who supported him. We know all that many people, many golfers around the world showed huge support for Tiger because he has such legendary impact on game of golf that it is impossible to not look at him. He is one of those legendary players that are alive and luckily for us that are still playing. It is still questionable whether it will be possible for Tiger to play in competitive golf, and as far as we know from the news that are on the internet, on TV, we are really not familiar with his current health status, whether he will be able to compete with players like Bryson DeChambeau or Lee Westwood, who is also not the youngest but very competitive in last rounds of PGA Tour in 2021. Let's see, there are many players who are hungry for the win, who are hungry to at least compete on the level Tiger achieved. I'm not saying by surpassing, because it will be really tough to find a player who could possibly surpass him. Maybe it will be a question for you who are watching this video. Do you believe that there is player currently in 2021 who have the chances to at least achieve the similar results, if not surpass Tiger's historical records in a game of golf? As we know, Tiger aims to get 18 majors or more, which was the record of legendary Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus is not the youngest one, and he's not playing currently on PGA Tour because he's, I believe, over 80 years old, so it will be possible not for Tiger to really to extend his record. So Tiger has still chance if he is ready physically and mentally. And this is the question we are going to speak about today. It will all depend on multiple major factors, whether it will be possible, and maybe you will learn from this discussion. So if you are a golfer who has friends who might be interested into watching this podcast, you are still invited to watch this live streaming, or maybe a recorded video if you are watching this on recorded video. So let me look in the script what is awaiting us, and then we will go more into detail. This is the podcast about mental game, and mental game strictly. That means that I will not only tell you about hints and tips and tricks for your game from my point of view, but also from a point of view of professional players, so you can adjust, even if you are a amateur player, these hints to your game and use it in your golf to achieve better results, because this is what we are striving to do. If there is some golfer who is going on golf course and says that he's not interested in results, then he's probably lying to himself and to the others, because if we are playing, then we are playing for the win, and the win is the most important part of golf, no matter what others say. We are always looking for that at least little trophy, if not the big one. And if you are professional players, you are looking also for the prize money and the prestige that professional tournaments come with. So the script of mine says that we are going to speak about about Tiger. Where is he now? What is he doing? What he achieved? And this we will describe his mental setup, compare the evolution of a setup of amateur players comparing to a champion level, which is a level of Tiger's play. And then we will speak about what you can expect from following episodes about the Golf Mental Game podcast from me, Mario Becchi. So let's look at some pictures. Is there anybody who is not aware of Tiger Woods? Because he is such a huge figure for golfers that it is not impossible to not know Tiger Woods. So let's look at Tiger right now. So who is Tiger Woods? Tiger Woods is an American professional golf player who has the record of leading the money list in 10 different seasons. He has won 15 professional major golf championships, trailing only Jack Nicklaus, who led with 18, and 82 PGA Tour events, tied for first all-time with Sam Snead. Woods leads all active golfers in career major wins and career PGA Tour wins. But we shouldn't forget that Tiger Woods is a normal person, just like we are. He is a human being. He is a father of his daughter Sam, his son Charlie. So he has emotions. He has all the same that we do. Maybe he's an idol for majority of golfers in playing sense of level, but he is a human being, and this is what connects us together. What happened to him on the February 23rd in California? Look at these pictures. So we know, according to the news, we know that Tiger was reportedly driving to a video shoot on February 23rd, 2021, when his sport utility vehicle, that is Genesis GV80, veered across a median, hit a tree and overturned. This was happening in Rancho Palos Verdes, California. According to some news, this was written, it looked like golfer may have been asleep at the wheel as the car continued directly over a median and traveled about 122 meters instead of following the curve of the road before leaving the pavement and hitting the tree. Firefighters used an axe and crowbar to pry Woods from his vehicle, where he was being held down because the steering wheel had been pushed into his lap. One of the firefighters said that he was essentially pinned. So I believe it must have been really rough. When I was a boy, I witnessed a crash of firefighters who were on the way to extinguishing the fire of the forest. And it was a horrible crash. At this moment, car was filled with, I believe, 11 firefighters, and one of them died. And it was one of them who sat next to a driver. Somehow, in the rollover, the driver was pushed away from the car. He I don't know if he jumped or he was pulled out of the car, and the driver who didn't survive was crashed. He was literally pinned, as the firefighter said, to the steering wheel. So if Tiger was experiencing something similar like that, he must be really fortunate that he survived this crash. So at this moment we still don't know on what level his injuries are, but as I'm going to read from the news now, you are going to see. Car accident reconstruction experts told US Today Sports that available evidence in the case indicated that Tiger Woods was not paying attention and had a very delayed response to the emergency when his vehicle, a Genesis GV80, left the road before crashing that day. The golfer apparently never even applied the brakes before leaving the road. Then later, Tiger Woods underwent emergency surgery at Harbor, UCLA shortly after the single car crash, and Tuesday morning in southwest Los Angeles County. Doctors inserted a rod into his right leg, and pins and screws were used to stabilize his ankle and foot injuries. Tiger Woods himself said that he knows that he is very lucky to be alive, and after releasing from the hospital, this is a picture on the Tiger's Twitter account from March 17th, where he said this. I'm happy to report that I am back home and continuing my recovery. I am so grateful for the outpouring of support and encouragement that I have received over the past few weeks. Thank you to the incredible surgeons, doctors, nurses, and staff of Harbor, UCLA Medical Center and Cedars Sinai Medical Center. You have all taken such great care of me, and I cannot thank you enough. I will be recovering at home and working on getting stronger every day. Tiger. So this is what we know. We don't have any pictures from him yet, and it will be really not necessary for our golfing world to see Tiger in his bed recovering or whatever. What is important for the game of golf and for you who are playing golf? Can we learn from this? And can Tiger recover and compete again on a professional level? This is what we know, and there are things that we don't know. Let's play a theoretical scenario. Let's assume that Tiger will recover from his injuries. Will it have impact on his game in the future? Let's see. This is not a first crash, as you remember, from Tiger that is publicly known. And these are the pictures that are from the previous crash. It was not very good incident, and it showed some things about Tiger's private life, and this is what we are not going to discuss about, but what we can assume from what we now have in our hands. Before we speak about Tiger, do understand that there is a difference between motivation in golf and practical golfing psychology. You must understand the difference between what you think that you are using in your golf and what the mental game of golf is. And then we can proceed to Tiger's evaluation of a mental game status at this point. Motivation is not mental game of golf. If you are using in your golf phrases like relax, stay calm, if you are using phrases like focus or I can do it, this is not mental game of golf. This is not enough. Motivation is really, really good for yourself as a person. But if you want to achieve better results in your life or in your golf game, you must start to use the mental game. The difference between motivation and the mental game is really huge. Motivation is relying on luck, on coincidence, on your hopes, on your dreams, on something that you cannot control. If you say to yourself without knowing what, for example, my clients know already, if you are saying to yourself, I can do it, I hope I will play good, hopefully I won't make a lot of bogeys, this is not the mental game. This is not how it works. This is not how professional players who are playing well do not work. This is certainly, I am sure, not the way Tiger works. I didn't work with Tiger together. I don't know exactly how he is thinking, but from viewing what he has done in his game, from examining how is he playing, how he looks at ball, how he approaches to certain shots, how he approaches to practicing, how he approaches to personal training from his early age, how he describes his game. This is what makes me know that his mental games look like. The difference between motivation and mental game, the practical golfing psychology, that thing that works is that mental game never relies on coincidence. If you are going to the game and you are not delivering results, even though that you faced the theory of mental game or the practical golf psychology, if you are not delivering results, despite the fact that you should have known how to achieve them, that is only because the lack of preparation. Because player who is prepared knows how to do it. Of course, there is a percentage of luck where we are not machines. We cannot create that perfect swing all time, same over and over again, like those swinging machines. We cannot do it. There is always a gap in between 100 shots. Maybe it is, if you are really well, 70, 80, 60% of 100 shots that are going well. And that is when you are really talented and when you are practicing well. and the rest, 20, 30, 40, maybe 50%, is not going too well. That is the matter of luck, coincidence. That is the matter of your inability to create that perfect swing. But you can squeeze from the percentage of 50% towards 100. I believe that it is not possible. Statistically, it is, but really, it is probably not. Not even Tiger did achieve, not even Jack Nicklaus, not even Bobby Jones, not even Ben Hogan did achieve perfect shots 100 from 100. That is the fact. If you believe that you can achieve it, and you are using the correct mechanical training, correct psychological training, then you may strive for that. And I, like the German said, drücke die Daumen. I wish you all the best for achieving this. But it will be possibly not possible. But you can squeeze those 50% towards 100, and Tiger strived for that from his early age. Maybe it was destiny, if something like this exists. Maybe it was just the way he was brought up to this world. Maybe he was destined to be the greatest player, even though there are many golfers that might argue with that. So if you understand the difference between motivation and mental game, then we can move forward. And this is the reason why some of golfers achieve more than the others. It is not a matter of using better tools. It is a matter of understanding. When you are born with your talent, you must train, you must practice, you must support this talent to make it flourish, to make it bloom, to make it work. If you are not supporting this talent mechanically or mentally in your head, then your talent will vanish. What Tiger did with his father was that his father gave him a club. And so immediately, that was a really brilliance of Earl Woods, that he saw a talent in his son. And how should I put it? The intention to play golf. Because some people are attracted to some actions, to some sports, to some activities more than to the others. And Tiger was attracted into striking that ball with his putter. I believe his first club was a putter. He was focused, determined to strike with his putter as best as he can. And this is talent. This is how you define talent. When you are in some activity in which you are required to do one thing, and you some kind of inborn way are focused to deliver the best possible results in this activity, that means that you have the talent. What comes next is the training and the support of this talent, the boost of a talent. Let's look at this picture. If you are playing golf, you don't see so many people usually. Only if you are a professional player. The professional player stands on the tee. He is surrounded by all these people. And if he is good, he is trained, not let everything to coincidence. He is trained to make those people disappear. This picture is from Tiger's website and is from one of the Tiger's tournaments. If you, as an amateur golfer, without any knowledge about mental game, without any practicing, and I know there are many golfers who are not practicing at all golf, and you would be put in this position and saw that crowd, saw that long hole, I believe it's in a Riviera Golf Club, you would be quite, if not scared, then at least intimidated by the pressure that may come from those people. The real thing is that there is no such pressure, and my golfers in my academy or the clients who are using my book or watching my podcast or videos which were before this podcast know that there is no such thing as the pressure. That is the difference between Tiger and the ordinary average golfer. Thing is that you can train yourself to put yourself in this situation. Now, let me understand. This is what Tiger should know, and I am sure that he is aware of that, and he used many of that in his victories. But here comes another thing. In life of an athlete, and it doesn't matter what sports he plays. In life of athlete, there is one crushing moment, and it is a moment of injury. We still don't know what kind of level of health Tiger has after this crash, so it is quite questionable to speculate what will come next. Many of things in Tiger's career will be determined on how his recovery from this crash will be. And I'm speaking about physical recovery. What we are certain is that his mental game, his mental setup is quite strong, but it will be possibly like by everybody else, because Tiger has emotions as well as we do. It will be possibly that according to his physical health status, his mental game will look like. It is quite questionable, but it will be, if it will be some kind of transformation from a relatively healthy status of Tiger into more injuries that he experienced before. So as the news said, if there will be any more damage to his knee, to his feet, then his swing will be affected. You shall remember, and if not from the real life, because it happened a long time ago, then at least from the history of golf, that there was a golfer who was in a really horrific accident. His name was Ben Hogan. He is one of those legendary golfers who play golf and who are still in the discussions of today's golfers by majority on the Facebook groups. Ben Hogan had really horrific crash, and he recovered from it, fortunately, and he showed that it is possible for him to compete. He was from era that was really hard after World War II, when the generation was really tough and sturdy. So it is possible that if you are one of those younger generations, and I am not saying that you are weak or something, it is possible that you might have less strength to endure the strength of some kind of crash if it would happen to you. We must take in consideration what I spoke about before. When Earl Woods, and he was war veteran and soldier, so his mental setup was different than the setup of people who are living ordinary life. If Earl inserted this mental setup from himself into young Tiger from early age until he passed away and left Tiger alone, then Tiger might have some sort of mental setup of true hardness that is required for really competitive golf and the legendary level that many of us will probably not achieve in our life as golfers. I hope that many of will, but possibly there won't be many. If Tiger has this mental setup, then the recovery, the mental recovery, despite the level of physical health in some sort of limitation, despite of this level of physical health, then his mental game setup will be much stronger than it was before. He will understand even more that he was injured in this accident. He had some past injuries. He experienced some surgeries which also affected his physical health. So he will have his physical health on one side, and then we will adjust something that many of us don't count on, and that is his age. He will lose some at least month or months, hopefully not years, because it will be even harder for him to compete. If he will lose only some months of his on his physical recovery, then it will be much easier for him to come back to the competitive level. From the results from past months, at least, not a year or years, we saw that Tiger's competitiveness somehow kind of fell back, and it was many times relied to his age, to his previous surgeries. So we can only speculate on what level his game will be from this moment. As we see in this picture, as a reminder, Tiger showed us that despite his age, despite his physical limitation due to his age, or physical limitations due the type of his swing that was taught, as some say, by Butch Harmon, where he pushed Tiger a little bit over his limits, or over limits of his physical predisposition, where his body was some kind of pushed more than it was able to handle, and that caused those physical injuries of his back, of his knees. When Tiger wanted to achieve a longer distance in shooting long drives and long shots altogether. So we saw that despite all those negative variables, Tiger was able to compete in past years in some tournaments, even though the competition is quite hard currently, and there are many hungry players who are able to put away their boundaries. They are pushing the limit of their body performance, and those players are motivated by Tiger's training routine, which was quite different from players with whom Tiger started to play as a younger professional player. Tiger set a new training routine for game of golf in decades in advance. So as you see, there is a Rory McIlroy or Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, who are pushing the limitations of their body, and it seems that they don't care about their body. All they care is a winning and achieving the Tiger status, or status of Jack or Ben Hogan, or even all the players who were really competitive, like Sam Snead, and they are some kind of limiting their chances by training too hard physically, and many times damaging their bodies in favor to achieve greatness. But that is question for philosophy, not for a mental game of golf. It is not for me to judge those players. But sometimes I feel that it is not very good example for kids who are introduced into a game of golf and who believe that you must be well-trained, muscular athlete to play golf. There were many golfers who played really good golf in history golf, and we know them who were not very good at training and personal training and so on. Not to mention John Daly, who also took it to the extremes, but on the other level as Tiger, and yet he was quite successful, especially on the Open tournaments. So that is question for the future, whether it is really healthy to push those youngsters into heavy training. When I see some teaching golf professionals, I'm not saying that all, but some of them are pushing those kids into really hard physical training that I'm not sure if it's necessary for them to be able to compete in a game of golf. But that is a question for another podcast. Let me know what you think. If it's good for kids to train really hard and in favor of having fun like you used to have. Tell me in the comments, what are your experiences, how you started with your golf, how your golfing journey began back then when you started playing golf. Maybe you are a young player yourself. Tell me your age, tell me how you started, tell me what do you think of really hard physical training, what do you think where golf is heading. I will be interested into knowing more and responding to you in your comments. If some of you have similar views on the game of golf as I do, because I believe in physical training, but it should have some limitations, because before psychology I started learning about mechanical science, and my background is mechanical engineering and then psychology. So when I look at golf, I not only look at from the mental side, I look at it from the mechanics. And we had really tough professors who were showing us how to calculate the mechanics, the movement, the torque that is created with mechanical materials, but it is the similar with our body. So when you are obstructed, for example, by huge muscles, then possibly your swing will be or will not be as effective as someone who is not so muscly structured. So that is my point of view on the things. I do believe in training, but it shouldn't be so hard. But I would love to know your opinions on that. Let me see in the script what we have written to speak about now, and then we conclude today's podcast, because it is, I believe, long already. All right. So what can we learn from today's small analysis of Tiger, his past, his present and possible playing future, and the mental game and connection to the mental game. What can we learn from that? I believe that if something will go well for Tiger physically, he will not have too many problems to come back to the playing level that is required on the PGA Tour and on the highest level. There is a small chance that he will surpass Jack Nicklaus' record just because of that injury. And you must be really, really, really lucky. You must be really lucky on the physical health side. You must be really lucky on mental health side to be able to achieve such a record as Jack Nicklaus did. And as we know, Jack Nicklaus was also really lucky on that day when he achieved his 18th major. But that's all left to discussion. I believe that it's possible for Tiger to compete again and to be competitive if his physical health will go up. Mentally, he showed us many times that he's a really, really tough competitor, and many golfers do fear him, literally. Not only look at him as an idol, but do fear him just because of this ability. And all else or everything else will be shown in the future. Alright, so I want to thank you for watching this podcast. My voice is going somewhere else than to be present with me on this podcast streaming because I'm not used to speak so much. And we will see us in the next podcast. You can type in the commentary suggestions what you would like to speak about in the next podcast, and maybe we can discuss other players, other situations. Maybe we can discuss Lee Westwood, who some kind of came back to really high competitive level, where he showed us that he can still play good golf, or we can focus on younger players. And I will additionally, by discussion about these players, put you some hints and tips and tricks for your golf game from my Mental Game Academy, and we can learn from each other by discussing. Maybe we will have some guests in the future, and where we will discuss the mental side of golf. Let's see what future will bring. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to write in the commentary what you think about all this, and I will be happy when you will return and watch this podcast with me and the mental game of golf. For those who are impatient, go to my website, mariobecki.com. Look for golf. Go straight to the Facebook, look for Mario Becki Golf, and you will find more info about what I do, what my players achieving, what my clients are going through, what are their experiences, and you can explore this simple mental game. Because as I said, I work as with amateur golfers, also with professional golfers, and their approach is different. And you can adjust your approach in your golf game to yourself. You can adjust it to your age, to your abilities, and to your desires. It means that no matter what age you are playing, no matter what you want to achieve, whether you want to just compete with your bodies or compete on the highest level, and no matter what your actual playing level is, we have always an options for all playing levels of golfers to get the better results. So my name is Mario Becchi. Visit mariobecchi.com, and don't forget to like and follow Mario Becchi Golf on Facebook, where I will put a schedule of upcoming podcast about golf mental game. Thank you again for watching, and that's about it. My voice is over. I'm going to drink some really, really good herbal tea, and if you have daytime and you can play in your area despite the COVID situation around the world, go out and play some good golf. I wish you all the best. Have a great golfing day. Thanks for watching. Bye. Ciao.